A very, very good morning to everybody, and welcome to yet a very, very exciting episode of Leaders Podium powered by Shiftz. Today, I have a very special friend with me and also a HR leader in this hospitality space, Mugdha, joining me. Mugdha, thank you so much for joining me today morning, and welcome to our podium. Just a quick introduction about Mugdha. Mugdha, just one second. So, Mugdha is a seasoned hospitality HR leader. She is known for driving organizational excellence through strategic HR management, talent acquisition, and fostering inclusive workplaces. With 14 years of experience, she has a proven track record in aligning HR initiatives with business goals, enhancing employee satisfaction, implementing effective diversity and inclusion programs. She champions collaborative leadership, empowering teams to innovate and achieve impactful results in dynamic environments. Mugdha, thank you so much. And also, she is currently the DGM HR of Chalet Hotels. Before this, Mugdha was also a part of Mahindra Group. Mugdha also was awarded HR 100 under 40. Wow, Mugdha, such an accomplishment and such a brilliant career you have had. Thank you so much. So before I start, Mugdha, I just wanted to ask you one quick question. How come you chose the field of human resources?
That's a very funny question, actually. And I'm not going to make it sound good. In college, I was always interested in marketing.
Okay.
And there was this international management event which came up, which we had to participate for. And a friend of mine had got chosen for marketing. So if I had to choose marketing, I would not have the friend accompany me. So that's why I chose HR. And I actually won that international HR competition. It was done by Symbiosis. That's when I realized I'm actually good at HR. And that's how my career started.
So can we call you an accidental HR?
Yeah, I think that's a nice
Wonderful,
one.
wonderful. That's
I'm going to use that going forward, actually.
So we know how you got into HR, but how you got into hospitality as a profession, or like as an industry rather.
So I'm from Goa, and I've like born
That
and
says
brought
it
up
all.
there.
That says it all.
Yeah, I don't have to explain anything else. I mean, all I saw every time, everywhere that I went was hotels.
Okay.
And that's one industry which was growing so quickly in Goa that there was no other choice. I mean, there was no second thoughts about it. And I loved that. I mean, I tried another industry in between, but didn't work.
Okay.
The vibrant culture that a hospitality company or industry has, you will not rarely find it anywhere else.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Because I think it's very dynamic and it's ever changing. And I think this is one industry out of a lot of different industries where the humans, it's completely human centric. And there's so much involvement and different nitty-gritties around the human behavior, human emotions. So yeah, I think personally speaking, it's the best industry for HR professionals to be in. Yeah. Awesome.
Completely agree. There are days when you're only talking to people the full day, and the full checklist on your notepad or diary or iPad is kind of unticked. And in the end of the day, you think, what have you done? But you've actually done a lot because that's the job you're supposed to do, talk to people.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes. Mugdha, okay, tell me about some of the, because every industry is very, very different. Although we from the outside we probably will see that okay, HR is a common profession or a common backbone of every organization. But talking about hospitality in particular, what are some of the challenges which you see are very, very unique to hospitality sector, especially in relation to HR?
So I think talent attraction is a challenge which is across industries, but we face it, we feel the pinch a little more because our attrition rates are very high. So, that attrition and attraction of talent and then retaining them is, I think, the biggest challenge that we kind of face. The other challenge, which is my favorite, is you expect to get superheroes with a budget.
Yeah.
You mean you want talent at the base level where you expect skills, they have to be customer friendly, they have to be well spoken, good personality, but what are you paying? 15,000 rupees.
Yeah.
So that I think is a big challenge for our industry.
Very true. So interestingly, you mentioned about certain great points about how do you attract and retain talent. So I would like to ask you if you can go a little deeper about specifically for this industry, because you mentioned you want the best talent at the lowest possible
Mm,
rates, and also attrition is very, very high. So it just makes the
correct.
hiring cycle on like an ongoing process, which also involves a lot of cost, both in terms of actual money being spent, man hours being spent in hiring, training, and retaining those people. So what are some of the strategies which you use to hire the right kind of talent, to make sure they are sticky, to they make sure they retain with you?
So, it's a very difficult environment to work, especially when you begin your career in hospitality.
Hmm.
And while hotel management schools do these internships and all that, but when you're actually into the workforce, the pressure is much more,
Yeah.
which you don't probably face as an intern. So, the right culture, proper defined career paths, showing the entry level workforce that, this is not what you're going to keep doing for years together. There is actually a defined career path for you, and we will invest in you to for you to get there, is very, very important.
Hmm.
While having said all that, I think the base to why everybody works is compensation. So keeping your compensation at par or even higher than what your competition or the industry offers is also the key. And I think all these things kind of then contribute to creating your employer brand,
Yeah.
which itself then once made, that's what speaks for you in the market or in the colleges.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the strategy that we follow.
Absolutely. And I think, Mugdha, from outside, what we are seeing a lot of happening right now is the new debate about work-life balance, right? Especially post the COVID era. And
Yeah.
one of the main challenges which we see, being in this industry, is about the work-life balance. Because when most of the world is partying or enjoying a festival, that's where hospitality has to be on their feet.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that the people are motivated enough, or how do you make sure that there is actually work-life balance, which is being implemented rather than just being spoken about in your organization?
So, I think pre-COVID, work-life balance in hospitality was a myth. We never thought it would be possible. Being in HR, we never thought it would be possible.
Yeah.
But COVID was kind of it was a blessing in disguise for the hospitality industry,
Yeah.
because it opened doors to the workforce into call centers, the ed tech, where we realized top hospitality colleges were going vacant. So that's when the industry realized that if we don't do something, the managers and the general managers will actually have to come down to serving people and taking check-ins.
Yeah.
So the industry is actually changed for the good.
Yeah.
While you said that pain point of working on holidays and when everybody is working, that will never go off, I think, because you're expected to work then.
Yeah.
But we've actually implemented a lot of policies around 9 hours working, strict no overtime. Marriott has come up with something called as life on time. We have actually started paying overtime to every employee that puts in extra hours. And once that extra hours is getting translated into a cost, automatically the hotels are actually controlling people working extra hours.
Hmm.
So that led to a whole correction in the workforce and a culture which is slowly building, but it's definitely getting there. So I think work life balance is creeping in for hospitality.
That's amazing, because we have all been hearing about this, but seeing it being implemented in reality, I think
Mhm.
that's what's making a lot of difference. And I think
Yes.
because I think other industries have advanced so much when it comes to providing work-life balances and everything. So I think we as an industry for hospitality are still there. There's still a lot of catch up to be done. So I think it's amazing to see what you guys are kind of doing and building around that area. Also,
There is still a lot to do, but at least we've taken the first step. That's
yeah,
what I'll
I'm
say.
sure. I'm sure, because I think right now the Gen Zs and the Gen Ys, what I have seen personally being in the HR space is that although money is a driver, but it's not a keeper. Probably
Agree.
they will join an organization if they are being better paid, but they'll keep on moving around where they actually find their anchor. I think
Yes.
gone are the days where you start with the company and retire with the company. I think now the boredom is setting in so quickly that they just want to move here and there. And a lot of times it's not even for the salary. It's just maybe an office with a better view. So you
Correct.
get to see all such
Yeah.
all such random things which are happening. But yes, I think the evolving workforce is also keeping us on the toes in making sure that we are changing continuously and adapting to new policies. And I'm very, excited to hear about what you just said about the policy which you're doing. Also, Mugdha, this industry is highly dependent on seasonality, on events and everything, right? Not every day is same, not every month is same. You have your highs, you have your lows. Unlike
Correct.
a lot of different businesses which are mostly flat throughout the year. So with such high degrees, we have seasons of wedding seasons, we have festivities where probably the footfall in a restaurant might be more, we have tourist seasons and all that. How do you make sure that you are catering to these seasonalities? What are the what is the internal thing you guys do to cater to these seasonalities? Do you hire full-time people? Do you offer part-time employments? What are the different strategies sort of which you employ?
So, the seasonality has the term seasonality for hospitality, I think, has changed from when I started my career.
Okay.
Because there were times when I'm talking about Goa. There would be a time when hotels would be shut for the non-season time. And now it is actually being promoted as the monsoon season or
Yes,
monsoon in Goa.
yes, yes.
So now there's no off season for most of the places, and I mean, except for places like Jaisalmer, which there's no option. But
Mm.
for most, it is now a highly paid season and a little low paid seasons. There's no off season anymore.
Very well
That's
said. Very, very
yeah.
well
So
said.
that's I think the first thing that's changed for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, having said that, because of weddings, because we get highly paid guests during certain times, the talent fluctuation is huge. So there are times when uh, talent attraction becomes such a challenge because everybody is looking at people.
Mm,
And there are times when it becomes so slow that you don't know what to do with your workforce so that it doesn't affect your bottom line.
mm.
So, kind of forecasting that demand and supply need and then planning your workforce accordingly is completely the key here. So what we do is we either, in case of hiring, while we have a budget for through the year, complete through the complete year, we actually, when we know that we will need people, we hire them much in advance, much above the budget. And then it kind of throughout the year, because of attrition, it kind of falls in line. So we don't wait when we need talent to actually start hiring. We
Okay.
do it in advance.
Mm.
And when we have excess people, what we do is we rotate them to our other hotels.
Okay.
So we have resort hotels and business hotels. So we actually send them usually when one is busy, the other is not
Okay.
because of the nature of business in resorts and
Mm,
business hotels.
mm.
So when the resorts are busy, we send the business hotel staff to resort. It becomes like a cross training, cross exposure.
Okay.
And also the cost is maintained while the level of service is not getting affected. So these are the two things that we do.
That's pretty interesting because even as a resource, as a candidate, or as a workforce, I am getting trained on different things. Plus, my environment is changing, so it's always something new which
Correct.
I'm learning. And like
Yes.
as you correctly said, the demand of a luxury hotel versus to a business hotel is very different. Because in a business hotel, me as a consumer, I'm usually in and out. I don't expect much.
Yes.
I just want my breakfast on time, my coffee on time, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
Versus when I'm on a vacation, I need the world.
I want everything.
Yeah, yeah. So I think rotating staff and making them is a brilliant strategy, because probably you guys as a as a hotel chain, you have a lot of brands under you, so probably you have that
Correct.
knowledge of moving that around. But do you think, or are you advocating gig work in this scenario, or are you as a one of the industry leaders, are you pushing gig work? How do you see gig work coming in hospitality? What are some of the challenges? What are your thoughts around it? Would love to know.
So I was just going to say that, and I
Okay.
said I was going to say that when we fail in all these internal strategies, that's when you come in. Your whole platform on gig workforce, I think it's matlab, it is amazing. It's very visionary, and that's what the industry needs at the moment. Because while we have always had the option of Odysseys, they are
Mm,
very unskilled, untrained people,
yeah.
and it was a very unorganized sector. I think what you've done with your platform, where you're actually connecting the people who are looking for trained workforce and the people who are actually looking at gig work, is amazing because it gives us the experience that we are looking for that particular event
So you have
or
made my day. I'm going to go after this podcast, go open a chilled beer and relax.
send a crate to me as well. So yeah,
Lovely.
I mean it's amazing because you know what happens and where we used to struggle while we always got Odysseys,
Hmm.
it was the most important wedding or it used to be a very important event where we used to look for workforce and they used to not be groomed properly.
Yeah.
They didn't have the experience. I
Hmm.
think you've completely eliminated that factor for us.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is definitely the future, Rachit.
But how do you think the industry is going to see that? Because unfortunately, been in this industry for almost a little over 2 years now. I have seen that not everybody in the industry is that open or that welcoming as you are. A lot of people are gatekeepers. They're not used to new changes and everything. But as one of the leading organizations in this industry, are you seeing that okay, gig might become a big thing because it's so unorganized, the demands are so varying, and you don't mind training just for people just for 3-day job or 5-day job, because training also becomes a critical element in it. Not basic training, but training on specific roles and responsibilities which you might have. So are you open in doing that for a short-term period as well?
Of course, no problem at all. And while you're saying industry, there are barriers. I think gig workforce has always been there. It's just not been formalized because while I gave you the example of Odysseys, you
Yeah.
know, when there are resorts in remote locations, you also have a lot of local people coming and doing specialized jobs.
Hmm.
Like if we have a resort in Lonavala, we'll have the local women there coming and preparing bhakris for us.
Yeah.
And this is across all hotel chains because I've worked for the Taj, I've worked for the Marriott, I've seen Mahindra.
Hmm.
It happens all across chains. It was just not formalized. And if you can do that and get them on a platform, then it works. It's really a win-win for the industry and
Awesome.
the workers.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, Mugdha, since you're managing such a large workforce, that's huge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
managing such a large volume of people with different challenges, different everything. Talking about the customer side of things now, right? How do you make sure that the entire teams which are being deployed are adequately trained, they are being retrained? Because what I have seen as a consumer, my expectations from a luxury hotel 5 years back were very different. Now they are very different. Probably 10 years back were very, very different. Now, since we are so used to the best of the Indian hospitality, we have traveled the world, our palate is more diverse. And I would say our expectations have skyrocketed, but our sort of we are always on the move. We want everything very quickly. Our patience has gone down. And that's where both the things collide. So how do you make sure that the team is trained enough, being retrained and motivated enough, so that even if they are being scolded, they are still serving with a smile?
So I think training is become more of a focus now more than ever because while initially the hotels were limited and our workforce largely came from hospitality colleges, they were
Mm.
hospitality pass outs. Now we have kind of opened doors to local recruitment, skill development programs where these the young talent that is coming into the hospitality industry is just 2 weeks trained or 6 weeks trained,
Okay.
or there's something called as a hire, train, and deploy, where we actually just look at the attitude, personality, communication, hire them, and then we train them fresh. They're usually like a 12th pass. So
Hmm.
training there becomes crucial to kind of maintain the brand image that we have.
Hmm.
How we do this is we've now started, initially it was more of HR handling training.
Hmm.
Now training has become a full-fledged function.
Hmm.
And we've also accepted that you can't do everything in house.
Yeah.
You can't just do grooming and telephone etiquettes anymore.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that. So we've actually started involving a lot of external vendors to do specialized training for our staff. And besides that, functions like train the trainer, cross training when we send them from one hotel to another, all these things keep helping us. But
Interesting.
it's more about just keeping up. Yeah.
Interesting. And Mugdha, when I have interacted with you in the past, when I was going over your profile, one of the thing which was very striking was, even in your profile, you have clearly mentioned diversity and inclusiveness, right? Now, in your organizations, and I think this is a global phenomena, we are all hearing about, especially in hospitality, how diversity and inclusion is becoming a big part of your work culture. So what are your thoughts about it? How are you taking that in your organizations? How are you promoting diversity, inclusivity, and the overall work culture around it?
So, diversity and inclusion, it is not just a target. I mean, it is actually good for business also. I think we first need to accept that. We're not just doing it to show it business in a lot of ways, and in terms of having ideas thrown there, it gives you diverse perspectives. Specifically at Chalet, it's not just a goal, it's something that we take pride in.
Wow.
So it's like we have a clear cut agenda. I mean, we are sitting at a diversity percentage of some 22%, and at corporate office, it is about 40%. So that itself speaks how important diversity in terms of hiring for us is. Uh, I think before building diversity, you first need to focus on inclusion. So
Mm.
having fairness at the core of your culture is the most important thing. If you are
Great.
able to do that, diversity will attract and follow through. You don't have to really do something about it.
Yeah.
You just have to build that culture and it'll just come in. I think that's what we do rather than just focusing on, I need this much gender diversity, I need PWDs, I need LGBTQ. If you build a culture where everybody feels welcome, then you'll just get the diversity that you need.
That's so beautifully explained. And, that's such a brilliant perspective because, spoken to a lot of HR professionals before, and they have numerous strategies around how they're attracting, but what you said is so simple and it's so beautiful that if you create a culture where everybody is feeling safe, welcome, and a part of the overall mission, I think anybody and everybody from any walk of life will want to be a part of it. So, and hats
Correct.
off for you to think and do that. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you, Rachit.
Brilliant. Okay, now a few more questions which I wanted to ask you. Firstly, we are seeing a lot of different things which are happening, especially in the HR field, and where we also come in. Is there a lot of technology which is coming into how you manage your most basic job as a HR professional
Correct.
to some of the most complex jobs? What are your thoughts around technology coming into this system? When you speak to your peers, is it a threat or is it an opportunity? How do you view all of this, the HR tech space?
I think technology is the next big thing. If you don't adopt it, then you will be lost somewhere in the bargain, in the race. But while technology is supposed to make your job easier and it's actually supposed to eliminate the administrative part of HR,
Hmm, hmm,
we
hmm.
have to be very careful that we're not actually eliminating the human touch bit of it. So,
Absolutely.
whenever somebody asks me this question, I always say technology is supposed to be with personalization. So
100%.
if you stick to that, wherein, for example, your interviews, now a lot of companies are doing AI interviews, which is required because you get 100 plus applications for every role, and it's
Yeah.
impossible to interview them all.
Yeah.
And what happens in the bargain is you end up ignoring a lot of CVs, which might be most relevant to you.
Hmm.
So that's where your AI comes into play, where they give you the basic feedback and you have your initial first shortlist. But after that, meeting them in person is very, very important, and you can't do without that. So that personal touch in every walk of life, like for example, even appraisal, the appraisal is now automated. Everything, your goals are recorded,
Yeah.
your progress is recorded, everything happens on a chat where you're just, when your coaching and mentoring is happening. But unless and until there is a final personal touch where you're actually sitting across with your manager and pouring your heart out, you don't feel like the year has gone by, and you're not able to gauge what's happening. So while we should adopt technology and progress with it, I think the protecting the human touch is very important. It's human resource, yeah, it's not technology resource.
Absolutely. And I personally am a 200% believer of that, because I always say that, technology will give you an outcome, but it will not
Correct.
show you the journey of a person. And every person whom you're speaking to has a story to tell, right? So
Correct.
if you're not being a part of that story, and you're just seeing the outcome, I think that's where you are being lost. So I think adopting that is the basis of thing. And I think in today's world, right? I was just speaking to somebody and I said that line to them. What technology has done at a mass level, it has connected us to the world, but it has
Correct.
disconnected us personally, right? So
Yeah, totally.
don't you agree, right? Before technology, like
Completely.
right now, if you go to a restaurant, if I just go back home, like me and my wife and my kids, we're all having dinner together. But we're all looking at screens, right? And
I
and
know.
and we are checking about people who are not even known to us, about this random person, about a big fat Indian wedding, or about some random things which what we are discussing. But so it has connected us to the world, but personally it has disconnected. So I'm just to bring back to the perspective, I'm a firm believer of what you said, that the human touch around anything, I think that cannot be replaced. And I think that's
Correct.
that's the basis of HR as a profession, and that's where technology can basically come into make life easier, but it can
Easier.
never ever replace a human touch. Mugdha, just one last thing which I wanted to ask you personally. How does your day look like? Because managing such large operations and everything, how does your day look like? What are some of the constant challenges which keep coming on your table? Because you manage a lot of different properties also. How does a typical day look like for you?
So, I'll begin with saying every day is different.
Hmm.
And every day, I mean, you obviously have a plan for what you're going to do throughout the day. At the end of the day, if you look back, it's
Yeah.
nothing like what you had planned. So that's how crazy it
Just like
goes.
life.
Exactly, just like life. It's like, I mean, you have to do your planned task. At the same time, you get calls from different hotels.
Yeah.
And what is funny is for them, it's a burning issue, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have any idea as to how many other burning issues I'm sitting on. So
Yeah.
sometimes you get this flag from them that you never have the time to listen to us. Like
Huh.
I'm listening to 10 other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, organizing and prioritizing, I think, is the key here because there will always be a lot of things. But
Wow.
what is the most important thing that you need to do right now, which will actually have an impact for the future, is what we need to choose and work on. If you just focus on day-to-day admin work, that's not really going to help you. Obviously, that needs to be done,
Yeah.
but I think your focus should be what will create an impact for the future for the company.
Got And with the one just last parting note for anybody aspiring to come into the hospitality industry, whether from the HR line or just general in the industry, what are your 2 cents about the industry? Any tips which you want to give youngsters who are about to join this industry?
I think it's a great industry. It's fun to work here. Yes, you will have to put in a lot of hard work, but nothing comes easy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in any industry, everybody has their own challenges.
Yeah.
So while at least in the hospitality industry, you get to look well, you dress well, and walk confidently.
Yes,
So
and you're in a
yes,
good
if you
environment
are,
always.
yeah, you're always in a good environment. That's one reason I joined hospitality, by the
Yeah.
way. I don't. So, I mean, if you want to, and I think hospitality is an industry where you grow is one of the fastest. So,
Absolutely.
if you have it in you and you want to grow fast, you have the dedication. I think hospitality is the industry, and we're always looking for talent.
Yeah. Awesome.
If
Awesome.
not us, somebody else will hire you.
Awesome. Mugdha, I think it was so great to have you. And, I have never had such a clean, crisp conversation before. All like this conversation was brilliant. So, and I'm sure everybody who will be listening to this will take a lot of positive things from this conversation. Mugdha, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a
Rachit.
pleasure having you. And I would love to do a part two of this where we talk about certain more things more in detail and everything, and pick up from there. So Mugdha, thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Rachit, and keep doing the good work that you're doing to support companies like us in the hospitality industry. I mean, it's brilliant.
Thank you, Mugdha. And I think it's both ways. Without your support, without the guidance, without anybody, somebody has to be willing to take that first mover risk. That okay, we are taking a risk, and I would say that Chalet as a group has been very has been an anchor for us in many ways, in the forwardness, in the visionary, what you all as a leadership team has. So I'm really grateful and thankful to all of you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, Rachit. Thank you. Bye.